There's a lot of these off-branded tablets, and this company sent this one out, and I was intrigued by it because it's going for $85 right now. Now, the specs sound pretty promising, except for the fact that this actually has 4 gigabytes of RAM instead of 12. I knew it was a little too good to be true when they sent me that email, but still, I want to go through this and see just how good or not so great it could be at 85 bucks. So we got some of the information about the manufacturer and how to contact them if you need to. We also have this tag that kind of mentions some of the specs again. The biggest thing is that, or one of the other things, is that this is running Android 15. The reason why that matters is that a lot of these budget tablets don't actually get updates to Android, so if it says Android 12 or 13, you're just stuck with that. So in this case, you're going to be stuck with Android 15 here. Inside the box, we got the tablet itself here. Let's put that to the side for a second, along with a user guide, the SIM pin. There's also a USB-A to USB-C cable, or USB-C to USB-A. Then this is the wall outlet. So pretty basic and simple, nothing wrong with that. And then do we have a screen protector that's pre-installed here? Let's see. It looks like we do. I don't know if you can tell from the front camera, but there is, you can tell that it does have a screen protector that's pre-installed here. So that's nice. This does have kind of a nice feel for a budget tablet. You have the rear camera that's protruding a little bit back there, and then yeah, this kind of feels like it's made of metal, but it's like a matte type of finish. Nothing crazy, but still, again, for what it's worth, it's not bad. We got the power button on top along with the volume keys. That might be a microphone or reset button. Nothing much on the side. On the bottom we've got 2 speaker grills. I'm not sure if they emit from both sides. And then we got the USB-C cable, as well as a SIM/micro SD card tray. This is pretty easy to take out with that pin because it's actually relatively long compared to others. So yeah, nothing to worry about there. Easy to put on and put it back in. So here's the front camera. It's not too bad at all whatsoever. It's actually a little bit more smooth than I thought it would be. And let's see, the photos are, yeah, they're all right. Nothing too crazy. The rear camera is not so bad either. This is enough to take notes in class or something along those lines. I took a picture from a decent distance, and I can read a lot of what it says on here, albeit it's a little bit grainy, but it's still readable nonetheless. So yeah, take that how you will. I like the resolution here. It feels nice and sharp. The screen panel itself feels like it's a little cooler. Like it has a cool blue tint almost, slightly. And I'll get to that more in just a second, but here is all the stuff installed. There's not much bloatware in here. In settings, we see that there is about 115 gigabytes free out of 128, so there's quite a lot of storage, honestly. And then also the memory extension is here. You can expand it. I don't really believe in this stuff that it's useful, at least compared to the other devices. I mean, RAM expand up to 20 gigs, it's not going to make a difference, honestly. I've seen this before where I checked the benchmarks and it didn't make any difference. So it's kind of just like a marketing ploy, if you will. Shows on here that this is running Android 15 to confirm. And the screen doesn't look like it's bright, but it actually gets decently bright. It's not enough to use outside in sunlight. There is the sun coming down here, so it makes sense why it's like not as bright. It does look better in person than on video, I will say that much, because I can still view the screen relatively well, even the colors, although it's not as well reflected on video. So initially you won't really notice this, but if you compare it side by side to, let's say, the Fire Max 11's panel, where the whites look a little bit more whiter and then this looks a little more blue, I will say that it's not as bad in person. It looks way worse on video than in person. Like, in person, it's going to be even harder to tell. But yeah, I can see this is definitely slightly different. Like, it's not fully white versus this here. It's a better white. I mean, let me back up here. I should say that this still looks white. In terms of like a side-by-side comparison, you can feel that kind of bluish tint on here. By no means is this a deal breaker, for me at least, because this panel isn't like it's not too overbearing, I should say.
Imagine in the last 10 years when people bought a brand new car, or even used, that it's got great features.
Yeah, so you can watch videos at full HD 1080p on YouTube, and yeah, I'm not noticing much. I guess that bluish tint is not as noticeable. Again, on video it looks worse than in real life, and I can move this around a little bit and it just looks the same. But regardless, you'll have to trust me on this one. It's kind of noticeable, but it's not as bad on video, I promise you. On DRM Info, we see that this has a wideband security of L1. That means videos can be watched at full HD 1080p on Netflix and other streaming platforms. If it doesn't have a wideband L1, that means videos are going to be capped at 480p on streaming platforms outside of YouTube. YouTube seems to be the only exception when it comes to wideband levels. But yeah, this will be just fine. When doing basic tasks, I noticed that in some areas it's like really smooth until I come here. Sometimes there's a bit of hiccups and not really too much slowdown actually. But yeah, doing basic things, it's been really smooth, even with 4 gigs of RAM. But I do notice hiccups here and there. Maybe that is the limiting factor with 4 gigs of RAM. Yeah, I'm curious to see how games work, because this does have an ARM Mali G57 GPU. And then there's that Unisoc T615 too. And as expected, this is running just fine, no issues whatsoever. It's getting that full frames almost, I want to say. Yeah, really no slowdowns. I'm going to step it up here with RuneScape 3D. We've got the FPS rate on top here, and it does dip to the lowest I saw was 12 just now. And yeah, this is at the lowest graphics settings. So this is zoomed out. So when you're zoomed out, you'll get to the teens. But otherwise, you can expect it to be around the 20s and even 30s a little bit when you're close by. So this is playable with some lag. Yeah, I don't think this will hinder performance too much as long as you're looking close by. If you're looking far out, then yeah, this is something that's going to be a bit of a concern when playing this. Next game here is Roblox, and it's zoomed out. I do notice some... Hold on. Yeah, I do notice it has some hiccups here and there. Maybe that's because it's going to the next play. But yeah, this is playable nonetheless, Roblox. I did have to lower the graphic settings a bit to make it a little more playable. And then maybe once you're all zoomed in completely, you're getting the first-person POV, it's going to run a little bit better. Finally, I wanted to check out another kind of 2.5D or 3D game, and this one is Brawl Stars. So far, this is running really well. Haven't noticed any issues. To me, I guess this is well optimized for low-end devices. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the speakers suck on here. These are one of the worst speakers I've heard so far. Despite, you know, whatever price bracket you want to put this in, it's just terrible. So yeah, overall, this can handle some light gaming. And what really intrigues me, and impresses me actually, is the fact that this is a 1920 by 1200 display. It doesn't have that like TFT screen where one side it's too dark and the other side it's too bright. It seems like it's a good IPS screen. Even with the panel, it's still good overall, especially again at the price point, being a sub $100 tablet. This is the best screen that I've seen so far. I would use this for media consumption, maybe some light gaming here and there. And the battery seems like it'll last a good amount of time. Albeit I haven't used it for too long, right? The battery life is the only thing I haven't tested out thoroughly. But this is something I would consider picking up over the Fire Max 11. And you know, it's so obvious because this is cheaper, this is running Android, this one is not running Android, so you already have the Google Play Store that's already pre-installed. Because on the Fire tablets, you have to sideload it, and sometimes people have issues with that. And there's some nuances where it's not going to be perfect. You got to make sure you don't update this and that. So it's just a headache, honestly. And to prevent all of that, I would just go with an Android tablet, something like this. Well, there are better options out there, and I will be checking out more budget tablets in the near future. So subscribe for more, and let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section below. As always, guys, thanks for watching.